Hi, everybody. Welcome to Coach's Playbook with Paul LaPolice, your home for elite CFL breakdown and analysis. This game we love up here in Canada. As we get prepared for the season starting, I've been breaking down rosters, looking at storylines, and going ahead and looking at stats on each team. So I thought I'd take us through each team. Today, let's start with the Grey Cup champion, Montreal Alouettes. Let's open the playbook on the Owls. Please subscribe to the page. It's going to give you notifications on any new content as we post it. So go ahead and give us a subscribe. Also, any comments, please put down below what you want to see, and we'll try to make sure we do coaches' playbooks on whatever we hear from in the comments. All right, last year, Montreal. You break the season into groups as a head coach. Usually you go, we get this 6 games, this 6 games, this 6 games. When you're kind of analyzing it, 3 for 3 in the first 6 games. 3 for 3 in the second. So they're sitting with 6 wins, 6 losses after 12 games. The final 6 games, 5-1. Playing their best football at the end of the year, win their first round playoffs. They go to the East Final to play the Toronto Argonauts, who's had it locked up for months. Everyone expecting Toronto Argonauts to take care of business. Montreal has a huge upset. How does that happen? First of all, the defense, who obviously was a key to their success last year, they had 9 takeaways. You do not hear about 9 takeaways often in any football game, but they finished +8 in turnover margin, which is an amazing stat. Montreal offensively, they struggled in some areas. They only had 197 yards. They had a turnover. They were sacked 7 times in that game, but the defense kept taking the football away. Let's go to the scoring. You got the stats right here. Touchdowns, 1 rushing for Montreal, 1 passing for Montreal. 2 interceptions for touchdowns. If you remember, early in the game, Dequoy had a long 100-yard interception that really, I thought, broke the back for Toronto. And then there was one later in the game, and there was also a kickoff return. So, total team win there with offense, defense, special teams scoring, and just a dominating defensive performance. Go to the Grey Cup. What I thought the difference was in the Grey Cup was the play of Cody Fajardo. I really felt that Montreal's defense is going to get some of their stops. They're going to make some plays against a very good Winnipeg offense. And they did. They got a takeaway in scoring position. They intercepted a ball, Zach Colaire's ball in the back of the end zone to take 3 points off the board that were pretty important. But at the end of the game, Cody Fajardo, 3rd and 5, down 3, 40 seconds left. They throw a deep shot. They basically kind of pump the ball on the outside, what I would call dog double outs and a go on the outside. They kind of knew this corner was going to play the short throw. They throw it up for a shot downfield. If it's to the left, to the right, too far, Grey Cup over. Victory offense is going in for Winnipeg. What does he do? Throws it up in 10 from the 20. There's a blitz the very next day. They're max protected. They hit Tyson Philpott for a touchdown for the win. So I really think it's important that this football team, when their best was needed, their best showed up. And that's what you always want out of your team. Offensively for Montreal, they made their plays when they needed to in the Grey Cup. And defensively, they stymied that really good offense in the East Final of the Toronto Argonauts. So that's how it ended. Let's talk about what's happening this year. I'm going to talk about a couple of points on each team. Basically a coaching point, a roster point. Interesting thing about the roster. Something interesting in the statistics that I noticed, checking the stats on each team, and then basically something in the schedule, if there's anything that comes up from a scheduling standpoint. I'll start with a coaching point. Jason winning the Grey Cup last year, he gets to continue to build that culture he wants. A lot of the rosters retained, a lot of the staffs retained. But what I would say they have to do is, one area of improvement, they just got to improve offensively. The defense is playing really good football, some of the tops in the Canadian Football League last year. You expect them to be very good again. But offensively, 7th in points, offensive points scored, 8th in passing TDs. Not a lot of passing TDs, the worst out of all the, the starters, the veteran starters in the CFL for Cody. Sacks allowed, 8th. That's something that's kind of followed Cody around. We don't want him taking that many hits if you don't want your quarterback getting hurt. And they struggled in the red zone, 8th in red zone touchdowns. So those are some areas that they don't have to be 1 or 2, but again, get them from 8th or 7th to fourth or fifth, and then that obviously creates opportunities to win more football games. Roster. Biggest thing for me is Austin Mack losing a great young football player and a lot of productivity, a lot of deep ball shots downfield, and a lot of yards. So what are they going to do? I know Tevin Jones came in, Cole Speaker, Tyler Snead. They got some guys, but who's going to step up and be somebody that Cody can trust to push the ball downfield, make big plays? So that's one roster point. The other one I think is a interesting one is the health of Dylan Wynn. Outstanding football player, guy you can't block inside. With Amando Sewell moving on, right? Will he be able to be somebody who can help out Mustafa Johnson on the inside? He just hasn't been healthy the last couple of years, but when he is healthy, he is a beast. So I'm looking forward to seeing him from a roster standpoint getting on the field. So the stat story, the biggest stat story about the team last year, can they continue to do what they did with the turnover margin? Besides scoring, the biggest way to win football games is winning the turnover margin. So third in giveaways. Offensively, they didn't give the ball up a lot. And defensively, second in the CFL in takeaways. And so many defensive scores last year. So that's really the key to their success last season. And the other fact in the stats that is amazing, Tyrese Beverette and Marc-Antoine Dequoy. The play of those two football players. Beverette is third in the Canadian Football League in defensive plays. He had 4 forced fumbles last year, but he's also third in the Canadian Football League in special teams tackles. So like an outstanding football player who's always around the ball. Dequoy was second in the CFL with 5 interceptions, had a couple of fumble recoveries. He had 2 scores on those interceptions. He also had a touchdown called back. That was an interception against the BC Lions. So those 2 players are all over the stats. We're looking forward to seeing them again. And, the games for them, it's going to be interesting. They play Toronto a little bit later, going into their 5th and 6th game, I believe, of the season. So it'll be interesting to see, can this defense perform? Everybody's going to try not to turn the ball over against them, but, Ottawa's going to have a younger quarterback. Toronto's going to have a younger quarterback to start out. So can that defense continue to play lights out? And that's what I'm looking for from the Montreal Alouettes. Looking forward to seeing them all season long.